And that's just bleh. First,
Nope. I like
first,
that.
first thing is no shoulds, woulds, or coulds.
That's it. In today's episode of Keeping It 100, I am a good friend, Carol Benson, on the show. Carol and I met through Owners Club, which is one of Pace Morby's masterminds. Carol is a well known author, speaker, and mentor. Carol is also my speaking mentor. I'm very grateful for that. In today's episode, we're going to learn about Carol's journey and how she's transformed her life into one that really honors her passions. We're going to also learn about some of the pivotal moments in Carol's life that she's been forced to overcome. So, without further ado, I'll let Carol share with us more about what she's up to and how she got where she is today. Take it away, Carol.
Tracy, this is such a delight to be here today. I am just like thrilled to be here. Um, oh, okay. That's one of those things I got to do. So
That's right.
it's like
Yes, ma'am.
when you speak a lot, you become more aware of some of the behaviors that get in the way. So, God, that's a big question.
I know.
Where do I
Yeah.
start?
Where do you start? Well, I would love to know maybe a little bit about like why you even wanted to get into speaking. Let's talk about that.
Oh, that's a big it's a
That's a
big
big one
answer.
too.
It's a big answer, but I will. My father he was in advertising. He was an exec, and I kind of grew up in that industry of production rooms and TV commercials. And when I was
Okay.
younger, I did voiceovers, and that's what I wanted to do. I was a storyteller,
Hmm.
and he was my like mentor. I learned a lot about storytelling from my dad.
Oh,
But when
wow.
I was in college, he said, I'm not paying for college. If you continue in marketing and journalism and literature, and I'm like, but Dad, that's what I do.
Right.
And of course, my parents tried to fit me in a little box, a
Yeah,
conform.
for sure. But they want you to be a nurse or a teacher.
Or they said you can go to it if you want to go to law school or yeah, no,
Wow, they were progressive.
you got it. So I thought, I do not want to do those things. But about it for a while, I did the pre-nursing thing
Yeah, yeah.
and I got accepted to all these great programs. And at the last minute, I said, no, 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 no.
I
I
love it.
will feel squashed because I knew I was a leader and I didn't want to have someone else telling me what to do.
Yeah.
I'm a team player, but I know that whole dynamic.
Yeah.
So I ended up going all my credits that I had, all my prerequisites of organic chemistry and god awful subject.
Yikes. Right.
I walked right into communication disorders and sciences. And I
Boom.
ended up getting a master's in, yeah, as a speech and language pathologist, which okay, communication, helping a little bit of the social psychological pieces of communication. Didn't really do it. I never felt like that was my place. It was
Yeah,
not my aligned purpose in life. So
that's right.
I did that begrudgingly, made myself be good at it, but
Of
felt like a
course.
fraud.
Yeah, right.
Like
What did your family say? Did you have any like riff because of it, or were they just happy that you did something different?
they were, they thought I was just a lost creative soul, the spirit. And then I moved to California from back east, and they didn't like that either.
I love that. Right, right.
And but I never stopped writing.
Yeah.
And I
See?
kept practicing my craft. And I would take classes at UCLA and
Wow.
screenwriting things and all this stuff. And I never stopped,
I love
ever.
it.
And so, move ahead a few years, and I moved from Los Angeles to Northern California. And I had 2 kids, and one of them was problematic and needed a lot of attention, and he
Yeah,
had
yeah.
some stuff going on. So my ex-husband said, "You know what? You stay home and I'll support you and do your writing."
Nice. Okay.
So I got really involved in screenwriting, and I actually had I was very involved in a group of screenwriters in San Francisco, and I
Wow.
actually had one of my screenplays went around LA for 3 years, and every time I would get a call from a production company, I go, "This is it! Finally,
Yes.
finally, finally!" Never got produced because the whole industry was not looking at spec scripts and blah, 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 right?
Got it. Got it.
La-di-da-di-da, right?
That's gotta be really challenging. I mean, talk about having some thick skin.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah. Like, good for you, Carol. That's
Ah,
not an easy place to be because
no,
you're writing and you're really putting your heart and soul into what you're writing. At least I know you are.
yep.
And then to get turned down time and time again, I mean, that's hard. Yeah. But you
Well,
kept going.
my mentor, he said something quite wise, and I think this is true in real estate. It's true if you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You have to develop rhinoceros skin.
Yes.
And
Yep.
that stuck with me because I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh god," not to take it personal,
Yeah.
and just to begin looking at feedback as golden, whatever the feedback was.
Yeah.
No can be good feedback, because then you
Oh,
have to look at
absolutely.
what's real here or what I'm like, you have to look at your blind spots.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
We all have blind spots, and, uh, you have to doubt your doubts. But you have to be able
Right.
to grow from the
Yeah.
feedback.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I know. I can't even imagine where I would be if I hadn't learned how to do that at a young age. I was you know a little bit about my story. I mean, I was like really down a bad path and
Yeah,
thankfully I did have people in my life that I respected that would kind of say like, "What are you doing?" You know, and I was willing to listen to that, thankfully, and that helped me kind of get back on track. But yeah, if you're not willing to listen to feedback,
yeah.
positive or negative, you're not really going anywhere. I mean, you're just like staying there.
Yeah, because it creates really deep-rooted beliefs in you that keep you stuck.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, you and I think, could go into and have a conversation all day about neural pathways, right? And how the more you dig your heels in, the deeper that neural pathway gets and the harder it is to
That's
get
right.
out, which is why if you don't work on yourself earlier, and you wait till you're older, it's even harder because you've just like dug these trenches in your mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And how do you get out of those negative spirals?
Right.
Because it keeps you stuck. It's like it just keeps
Yeah.
pulling you down because you have these beliefs. I can't do that. And then you start comparing yourself to other people, and
Yeah.
you're
Yep.
doing that. I should be where they are.
Right.
And that's just bleh. First,
Nope. I like that.
first thing is no shoulds, woulds, or coulds.
That's it. Shoulda,
Just
coulda, woulda.
do it. That's right. Just do it. And it's like along the way, I got to the point as a writer, as an author, as a creative person that it was just inside of me wanting to come out. Why was I collapsing into my true nature? I was not being visible. And so I spent a number of years and I invested a lot of money in coaches and
Mm-hmm.
training programs. And I got certified as a conscious business coach. I got certified as a master trainer for a very big mindfulness company.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was accelerated growth for me
Yep.
because when I say yes to something, and even though
All
it's
in.
being painful, I'm like, no, I'm going for it. I mean, I walked
Oh,
on hot coals when I was pregnant twice. It's
right.
like I'm that kind of person.
I love that. When you told me that, I thought, oh, this is my kind of gal.
Tony Robbins. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
it was just like, just go for it. Walk into the fire. But then
Yes,
waiting. Okay, I've done this. I've gotten some really cool opportunities. I was paid as a writer to
right.
a novel into a screenplay, all these things.
Yeah.
But what am I waiting for?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is the question, right? And I think that's where so many people get stuck.
Yeah,
They're waiting for something to happen. But the only thing that's going to happen is the thing that you make happen.
that's right.
So I know. And, that's, as you know, I mean, that's a big part of why I wanted to start the Keeping 100 podcast, because I really wanted to have these real conversations that people can listen to and hear people like ourselves say, stop waiting, jump in, do the thing, because nobody is coming to rescue you. There is no lifeboat, there's no magic switch.
No.
So here you are, you're a mom, two kids,
Mhm.
you're home writing. Obviously, you're busy being a mom. You have had, your script turned down. What is it that kept you going? I mean, I know you say you're an all in, but at some point, people kind of throw the towel up.
Well, part of it was I felt trapped
Mm,
because of my circumstance,
sure,
and I could not really put 100% attention on getting out there as an author, as a writer.
sure, sure.
I
Yeah,
had this kid that I had
yeah,
to contend with, no one else could. And
yeah.
I stayed in a marriage that was not a good
Good fit.
partnership.
Yeah,
And I was alone. I essentially was a single mom.
yeah.
And it's like when I look back, I go,
Right. Why?
why did I stay? Right?
Yes.
Why did I do that thing?
Oh, so many people can relate to that. Even, men and women alike, we can relate to that. That is such a common theme that you hear. I think especially for women,
Oh,
you're
yeah,
a stay-at-home mom,
that's
so
right.
easy to lose our identity, our
God,
our vision, our path, because you look in the mirror and you're heavier than you were before you had the kiddo, typically. You don't have time to do the hair, put on clothes, so you're in like yoga pants, right? And you like look at yourself, who the heck is this person? And it's
yeah.
hard to get back on track. All right, so
Yeah.
tell us more.
Well, for me, what got me through that time, and anyone out there, who's listening to this, who's struggling to just put one foot in front of another and keep going,
Yeah,
I I mean, exercise did it for me. I was like,
love that.
I have to go to a class at the gym. I'm walking the dog on a trail every morning.
Yep.
I am finding time for me. And that movement and just connecting in nature is part of my ritual, even now, because it nourishes you from the inside out. You
Yeah,
discharge all the mind stuff that gets in your way.
yeah.
And one day, and this is a true little story, because as a storyteller, you fit in little stories that are
That's
real.
yes, I love this.
I went into our kitchen, I opened up a cabinet, and a glass fell out and hit me right here on the bridge of my nose. And I
Oh,
still
wow.
scar. I was bleeding.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it like, uh, and,
Gushing,
and I'm like, whoa, talk about a whack on the side of the head. And
right?
I instantly knew it's like, what the heck are you doing in this marriage? Is not good for either one of you. And when he came home later, I said, look, we have to let each other go.
Wow.
And I didn't know what I was going to do because professionally, I was dependent on him.
Yep.
How many people out there, especially, I
Yep.
gave up my professional
That's what we
traction
do.
for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And because I'm a warrior, I'm a mom, I signed up for it,
That's
right?
right. Yep.
Just do what you do. And,
Yes, ma'am.
and I left, and he left, and it was hard. But then I met my real partner, Paul, who
Yeah,
some of you might know in the Owners Club. And
that's right. Wonderful guy.
it
Wonderful
was
guy.
amazing. It was
Yeah.
truly, truly an amazing experience, but it was scary as hell. Like, what's going to happen? What am I doing next? And
Right. Yeah.
I just did what was required of me.
You had faith.
I did have faith, but I was
Yeah.
practical about it.
Yes. Yes. Right. You can't go blindly, but I do think faith is one of the key components to being successful. You do have to have strategic faith maybe, but faith nonetheless. Wow. You touched on so many things there that I think so many people can relate to.
Yeah,
So many people, if you're a one income family, somebody, whether it's the husband or the wife, is
yeah,
dependent on that other person's income. And
that's
it
right.
creates such a hard dynamic to move through when you just don't have, what do you do? Right? I mean, where do you go? What does this look like? And I think that does keep a lot of people either in unhealthy relationships or relationships that or keeping them from doing things they love, right? So it's that
Yeah,
um I also love that you talked about getting out in nature. I mean, that is, I know a lot of people talk about, oh, I listen to a podcast when I walk. All right, that's cool. But honestly, the truly disconnecting, especially nowadays, not a podcast, not a thing, literally just get outside and like listen to Mother Nature, just listen to the birds, listen to the wind blowing the leaves. Maybe it's a cold day and you can look at the frost on the trees or the buds, but just getting out there and disconnecting, making time for ourselves. I
right.
think I mean, aside from all the endorphins, you're telling yourself, I'm worth it.
That's right. You
Yeah.
are. You're unplugging. That's another thing that I do as
Yeah.
part of like my morning ritual is I do not look at my email, text, definitely not the news.
Oh boy, no.
No way.
No.
For a good hour, hour and a half in the morning. I get up early so that I can fit in all the things that give
Yes.
me a base foundation for the day.
Yeah.
Hi, Katie. Yeah, it's
It
just
is pretty.
it's it,
Yes.
it's really, really important to unplug and get yourself primed.
Agreed.
Primed.
Yes, agreed.
Primed.
I mean, I think that's so important what you just said. And I was going to ask you in a little bit, but you really just answered it now. One of them, which I love, because it is so important. What are these tools and strategies that we use to stay focused, to, sure, you left that relationship, you met your wonderful partner now, husband. Great. Well, there's still the things are still happening, right? There's still the hard things,
Oh yeah.
and I think having a morning ritual, if you don't have that,
Yeah.
you start the day off, in my opinion, like just where you left off, right? Yesterday. You're in your head, you're thinking about the things. You just need a moment to have that space
That's
to
right.
recharge, reflect, be grateful. And I know it's hard. It's easier said than done, right? Especially when you have little kids. But like you said, I get up extra early. The house is quiet, nobody's awake. And even if you're just able to grab 5 minutes, I mean, really, if that's all you can do, it's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when we wake up, we're in alpha state. I'm
Mm,
a
yeah.
neuro geek.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Let's talk about this. I love it.
So
People will love it.
it's like when you just wake up, you're in alpha state. And what many of us do is we start worrying or thinking of our to-do list.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you really have to train yourself to just go, I'm awake. I'm so excited for the day,
Yeah.
and get into like gratefulness or appreciation or celebrating something.
Yes.
Wow, look at the sun coming through the window, or look how dark it is in our room when the alarm goes off,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do. And you want to prolong that state as long as you can.
Yeah.
And when you start doing and looking at that screen, what happens? Right back into beta.
Yeah. Game on.
Game is on, and your whole nervous system is fired up.
Yeah.
And
Up.
it's like, how do the benefit of being a speech language pathologist was that I seem to get the most, I call them jigsaw puzzle kids.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You told me this. Right, right.
I got a lot of like autism spectrum, ADHD, social anxiety, and that ended up being my specialty.
It's so
Social
sad.
thinking.
Yeah.
How do we navigate the social world? And I see like so many kids that have some issues become emotionally unregulated.
Yes.
But you can relate as an adult because how many times do we feel consumed with anxiety and fear about something in the future that
Right.
we're not there yet. Like, how do
Right.
you force yourself to be present and not go into past experiences of
Yeah.
trauma? Because
Yeah.
those form your beliefs. And if
Right.
you're present, then you can kind of go, in the future. Yeah, I mean, Pace calls it future casting. I know
Yeah.
people that call it future visioning. And you kind of set your sight up. Where do you want to go? How do you want to be? And then you let it go. Because if you are really emotionally connected to, yeah, I feel it when I'm there, I'm going to celebrate.
Yeah.
Somehow that path opens up and all the right things show up.
Right. Yeah. It just all falls into place. Boy.
You know,
Uh, yeah.
I
Sorry.
know, yeah, go ahead, ask. There's some, I wanted, you were talking about hard things.
Yeah. No, go on. I appreciate that. Yeah. I'd love to hear what you were going to say next.
Um, so Paul and I met. It was amazing. It was like everyone's gone. "Well, how did you get this man who said yes to being a stepfather?" And,
Hmm.
the dog, the cat, the whole thing. And he said yes to it. And life was beautiful. And we were in a place financially where I sold my home, moved into his.
Nice.
We were looking to invest in income properties. We
Yep.
were actively looking. He had two businesses, and I had a lot going on with my writing at the time. And I started working as a speech language pathologist again,
Yeah.
contract. And we all know what happened in 2008, 9, and 10.
Yeah. Rough.
And it was particularly brutal on contractors
Right.
in the building industry. And he was one of those.
Right.
So here we had retirement funds, we were traveling all over the world, we were looking, active for investment properties, and then it all crashed.
Boom. Done. Right.
He had
Yep.
35 employees. I mean,
Wow.
a lot of families to take care of.
That is a lot.
And we made some decisions financially that in hindsight's a beautiful teacher.
It sure is.
We would have made some different ones.
Yeah. Right.
And we ended up losing everything.
Wow.
Bankruptcy. We lost our home after trying to renegotiate, but
Wow.
that whole
I do. Yep.
a lot of people suffered. And,
So many people listening can relate to this. I mean,
and
it was,
I
yep,
know.
it was outrageous time. So, yeah. Oh,
And
yeah, right. You have a
yeah,
book.
one day, I mean, one day, Paul, said, honey, we're happy in hell. And
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, we're not fighting, we're not blaming. I go, what are we doing?
pretty amazing.
And he goes, I don't know, but we're doing it. And I said, okay, I'm a writer. We have to figure this out.
Yes.
We are going to write a book about this because there's a lot of people out there suffering who are not happy in
Yeah.
hell.
100%. Right. Probably 99.9% of the people going through that time having those
That's
experiences,
right.
right? Lots of divorces, separations,
Oh my
all,
goodness.
yeah, yeah.
A lot of people were homeless. I mean, let's face it,
True.
let's get
Yeah,
down to one of the biggest fears. It's like,
yeah,
could that happen to us? Right?
yeah, 100%.
And so we wrote a book, and I'm just going to show
Do
everyone.
I love it? Yes, steps to thrive.
Yep.
Yep.
Revealing
Five
abuse
steps to thrive. Yep.
as opportunity. And we, eh, yeah, and we didn't play the game of getting it to be a bestseller then because no one knew how to do it then. Now,
Right. Now it's a whole, yeah.
um, but we had some really good blurbs written about it. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
more, yeah, and got some good feedback from people that it made a difference.
That's
So
all that matters. Right.
So from that, we had to look at, okay, where's our life? Everything we thought that was going to happen didn't. So
Boom, gone. Right. So you're starting all over.
that's right. So we were like the phoenix rising from the ashes.
Yeah.
And since that time, meandering from brand to brand, I kept trying to build. We thought we'd do some work together. We finally, during COVID, I took out a screenplay that I love the story, and I said, I'm going to put it into a novel. So my novel is right now with some beta readers, and it'll be published soon.
Yes.
And Paul got back into what he loves to do.
Right.
He is all about beauty and design
Yeah.
and helping people. I mean, his dad was a land developer and a builder. His stepdad was an architect. It's in his blood. So he's doing that and he's having a great time. And we have investment
Yeah.
properties now.
Right.
So we've totally picked ourselves up from where we
Boom.
were. And yeah, so it's like when the bad things happen,
Yeah.
which they do.
They sure do.
Yeah, faith is part of it, but be strategic about how you care for yourself. I even tell
What a great
speaking,
point.
I tell all my speaking clients and else, it's an inside out job. You cannot just look at how you're expressing yourself in the world if you don't take care of this part. If you're always in your head,
Right.
you're not balancing. You
Yeah.
have to open up those different parts and be present. So,
Agreed. Wow. I completely agree. I love what you shared with your morning routine and getting out in nature. Just a quick question. When you were in the midst of all of this trauma happening,
mhm.
it's easier said than done sometimes, right? Because you're in it and it's overwhelming and it just takes over everything. So how was it? What did you do at that time? Did you already kind of have these in place and so it was easy to stick with it? Or did you have to go out there and go, boy, something has got to change, you know?
I had to retrain my brain. because seriously, I had to really, really look at what do I think about all the time? And it's
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, we have something like 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah,
No
that's what
wonder why my brain hurts at night.
so I think the first thing is to just be aware of what you're thinking about. That's the first
Mm.
thing I had to look at that because I'm a thinker.
Yeah, great point. Right.
If you can start paying attention to when you're getting distracted off of your North Star, where you want to be, what you want to accomplish, and just really start reframing how you're looking at your life. Like, okay,
Mhm.
what are the three wins I had today, as opposed to, God, I didn't get this done on my list and I didn't do that.
Yes. Yes. The reframing. Fortunately, I learned that a while back, and that is a definite game changer. As you know, but I don't know that everybody else knows, I was an educator for my career, and you never get done what you want to get done as an educator. You know this, you just don't. It doesn't matter how hard you try. You can't do it. You can't get through all the things. And so it was very easy at the end of the day to feel like I had failed, whether it was myself or my students or my school or my colleagues. But then, like you said, I started reframing that situation. And I still to this day, before I go to bed, as I'm laying in bed, I think through the day. I start backwards from what just happened all the way back to the morning, and I pull out the things that were wins for the day. And it could be as simple as you're laying here right now doing the thing. Like, like if
My
that,
heart is beating and I'm breathing, right?
well, that's funny you say that. When I taught yoga and meditation and I taught it to young adults, I would say to them, guys, the crazy thing is our breath is one of the most important things. Without it, we're dead. Yet we never take even a second in our day to pause and say, wow, thank you, body. You are breathing.
Right.
Right?
And about breath, that's another tool that I've learned along the way.
Yes.
And when you're anxious or worried or things aren't flowing the way you want,
Yeah.
oftentimes we hold our breath. Start
Good
noticing
point.
when you do that. And that I started doing that. I mean, I used to do this when I was working with kids and yeah, yoga and meditation and
Yeah.
all. Breath is your superpower.
I
It's
love the way you say that.
it's
Yep.
like it's like you already can be self-resourced with your
Yeah.
breath. It's like
Yeah.
take do something gets called box breathing. So you can
Yeah.
start with as simple as 4 inhalations, hold it for 4, and exhale for 4. As you
Yeah.
get
Thank you
more
for
accustomed,
sharing that.
you can do 7.
Yeah.
And do it as many times as you need. You don't want to hyperventilate and pass out. So be really aware of what your
Yes.
body's doing. But if you do it even 3 times and notice what's going on in your body. Did your head relax? Did that pit that in the pit of your stomach, that you're
Yeah.
clenching, is your neck pain tensing up, or did it relax? Your shoulders drop? Start
Yep.
noticing breath is a great resource to use.
Yeah. It's such a great indicator also. Um, And I just want to say for folks that are listening, BOX, breathing is what Carol recommended. You can Google it. And I'm sure you'll also find some YouTubes where you can kind of follow along. It's really, in my opinion, the simplest, easiest way to just calm your nervous system.
Right.
I also want to say that just because I speak as though this is so easy, it is not. I will still find myself through the day, I'm like, I can feel, I'm all tense and I'm typing away and I'm all fired up. My brain's going and I got these emails I got to send. And if I say to myself, because I have, you can't see my office in front of me, but there's little meditations here and little sticky notes. And if I look up and I see something that's like, time to breathe, and I'm like, forget about it. That is like, hold your horses.
That's
No.
right.
As soon as you feel that, that is your cue. Take a breath. And if you feel like you don't have time to take a breath, you really, really need to stop and take a breath.
And the more you resist it, you need it.
That's such a good point.
You need it.
You do, you need it. Oh my
You need it.
gosh.
I mean, there's so much we could talk about along on this subject.
We just need to, I think we need to come back and do a series just on this because you're right, we could
Yep,
talk for days because I believe similarly, I think exercise, being in nature, and mindfulness are the things that have changed both of our lives dramatically.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think when you can, I'm all about alignment, and
Yes, ma'am.
that's the thing. I'm like, okay, and you can when you start practicing, is this in line with me?
Yeah.
Like, is there any part of my body that's tense? So my personal indicator is my gut. If I feel clenched,
Yeah.
something's not in alignment. And it could
Yes.
be a person, it could be someone who wants to be a client of mine, or and I'll just go, there's something that's just not lining up with me.
Yep.
I don't have to figure it out, but I've learned to trust it. So if you want a business
Such a great way to put
partnership
it.
with an investor or something else,
Yeah.
they may be like, wow, they're saying yes to me. They could give me money. This is amazing.
Yeah.
You're coming on the
Yeah.
paycheck. And you're all fired up and excited. But then you get home and you're going, you're depleted
Yeah,
on energy. So, start paying attention to your energy, because our energy tells us no.
it does.
We sometimes ignore it.
Yes, we do. That's a really good point that you just made. Our energy, that is it. Yep. It's that intuition. And I think, again, that's a hard thing for us to listen to because it's telling us the truth.
Got it.
And often we don't want to hear the truth.
Really?
But
Go away.
that's,
Go away. I'm not ready.
I don't know what you're talking about, Carol. Right. And that's what it boils down to is our intuition is telling us what we need to do. You
And
listen to it, you don't listen to it. Your choice, but
our bodies are somatically,
oh,
like our
solid point, right?
muscles, all
Yeah.
of it. So if intuition doesn't, people are still, what the hell is intuition? Which there's people out there that don't feel comfortable with trusting it, then
Yeah.
trust what your body is telling you. If
Yeah.
your energy's depleted, if you can't have another thought, if you're not feeling vital or
Yeah.
revitalized from an experience,
Yeah.
start paying attention
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
that.
Revitalized from the experience. That's a good takeaway. Revitalized. If you don't feel revitalized by the experience,
There's something off.
that's it. There's something off.
That's
Wow. We could talk forever. I want to ask you one more question before we wrap up. Tell us a little bit about kind of what you're doing today. And I know you on several levels, but you have been a huge influence in my career because I would like to become a full-time public speaker. And you have helped me dramatically. So many little pieces that I had no idea were even a thing, right? I'm just like, I'm a good speaker. I got a good story. Let's go. And I met Carol and she's like, hold your horses, honey. Let's back it up. So tell us a little bit about kind of what you're doing right now and yeah, where you want to go with that.
That's a great question. Thank you.
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, I meandered trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grow up. And I just let it be. I kept waiting, like not waiting that I was afraid of something, but just
Yeah,
waiting until it made sense. Because I think for me, my journey has been to become as authentic and real of who I am.
I love that.
And now that I feel that I'm much more present with that part of me, I'm
Mm,
ready. I'm ready for keynotes again. I'm ready for podcasts. So anyone out there wants me on their podcast, go ahead.
yes,
I'm
reach out.
I'm ready to be visible now, and I wasn't before because there was something off.
Yeah,
And I know I have to do the marketing thing, get my socials, my followers up and all that stuff.
yeah, yeah,
What I've tried in the past never felt authentic.
yeah. I hear
So
you.
trust who you are. That would be like a really good closing
Yeah,
takeaway is like
yeah,
everyone out there listening. And Tracy, you are a great example of this because you are allowing that unique essence of you to come out and be seen.
yeah. Thank you.
And you're not trying to fit into a little mold in the real
Mhm.
estate community or anything else. You're just going, okay, how can I
Here
serve?
I am. That's it. How
That's
can I
right.
serve you? Right. Yeah,
And that's really what I'm all about right now
yeah.
is every person has a story that defines them.
Yes.
And some of them are old and they need to be edited
Mm-hmm.
and
That's
upgraded
right.
and cleaned up. But everyone has a story to express. And that's what I am dedicated to doing for people. And also in the stories that I write in my novel, these are about real people who can be related to how much in our lives of our decisions about
Wow.
friendship. You do not have to do it alone. That's probably my big messaging.
Oh, that's such a great point.
You don't have to do it alone. There are people who are your tribe, your community,
Yeah,
your best friends
100%.
that you can trust and grow with and champion one another. And that's really what I'm all about right now, however it shows up. And I'm taking actions. I'm not just sitting there going, okay, what's showing up?
Right. No, you're such an action taker, and that's a solid point. You can't just go, okay, I'm ready, world, bring it on. I mean, this is just to get where I'm at today has been a long road, but
That's
it
right.
started with
Mhm.
stepping into myself,
That's it.
taking that leap of faith and saying, you know what, world, you may not be ready for Tracy Koa, but Tracy Koa is ready for you.
Right.
And with a mission that is heartfelt and heart-centered,
That's right.
how can you go wrong? Right?
That's right. That's right.
Carol, real quick, are you taking on speaking clients?
Yes.
Okay. I really want to make sure people know that because I do think that that's a hard thing to come by. I think, yes, there's a lot of companies out there that'll tell you, come and pay us all this money and we're going to get you a gig and a this and that. And, that's not, in my opinion, what it's about. I want to learn to tell my story very authentically and as well as all the tools and the tricks that you provide, you really help me pull out these raw pieces, which is what people relate to. So if you've been thinking about speaking, or you just want to learn how, not just, if you want to learn how to tell your story more eloquently, reach out to Carol.
It
100%.
it could even be a written story. They might have a memoir in them. They
Yes.
don't know what it looks like.
Yes. Good point. How
So,
can people find you? What's the best way? Is it
um,
Instagram?
um, yeah, Instagram me,
Yeah.
Carol B. Benson on, at Instagram, and
Okay.
you can find me there. I have a website, but right now I'm not giving it out because it's not doing anything. It's a placeholder.
That's right. I have one of those.
I will admit that.
Yeah.
I'm working with a social team to like, hey, people don't know you're out there, Carol.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Yeah. But they're about to know.
That's right.
Watch out, world.
So I would love
Oh,
people to start following me on Instagram because, I need,
perfect.
and I'm also on Substack. So if anyone's on Substack now,
Okay. Oh, perfect.
yeah.
Carol, I'm so grateful for your time today. I had a blast, and we have to do this again and talk. I mean, there's so many things. I don't even know where we would begin, but we'll have to do that. To my listeners, thank you all for tuning in to Keeping It 100. I do hope that today's episode left you inspired and motivated and really ready to tackle whatever comes next. Again, a real big shout out to Carol Benson for sharing your incredible journey. So many great insights. You can connect again with Carol on Instagram at Carol B. Benson. And also, please don't forget to follow me, your host, Tracy Koa. You can find me on all social media platforms as at Tracy Koa. And also, my website is tracykoa.com. Before we go, real quick, guys, a couple of quick action items. I really recommend that you take a moment after the episode and really reflect on it. What are some of the takeaways that you've thought about, or the stories that Carol shared that resonate with you? And just think about, how do they apply in your own life? Maybe one of your favorites. As well. And then, please connect and share. So if you found today's episode enjoyable, if it brought you, some good insights, please share, subscribe here, share the episode with everybody. And of course, reach out to Carol and I. We would love to hear from you. You can message us on social media. So don't forget to join us next time, where we'll bring another empowering conversation designed to uplift you, motivate you, and really help you unlock your full potential. So until then, keep striving, keep believing, and keep showing up for yourself. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thanks, Carol.